Lesson 12.4, volumes of pyramids, cones, and spheres. This is exactly what it says. You're calculating those volumes using formulas. These formulas will be given to you on the iLearn, so you don't have to memorize, but I do want to explain how they're related to the ones that you do have to memorize. So, especially pyramids and cones. So look at the in the box when it talks about the volume of a pyramid. It says a pyramid has 1/3 the volume of a prism. A pyramid has 1/3 the volume of a prism with the same base. The same base and height. To find the volume of a pyramid, then this is the formula you will be using. So again, if I write it a little bit bigger, the volume is 1/3 times the area of the base, that's why it's capital B, and then the height of the pyramid. So when we did a prism, it was big B times H. Well, now we're doing a pyramid. So it's big B, 1/3 big B times H. So the pyramids, you know, there's a question as to what is that base. You have to know all of the formulas for the bases. So if it's a square pyramid, triangular pyramid, rectangular pyramid, we don't have the formulas for the pentagons and the hexagons and all that. You'll get that when you go to high school geometry. If they would have one of those on the iLearn test, they would have to give you the area of the base. It would already be calculated. So you will not, for these, you will have to know the rectangle, square, and triangle. So this one that there is an example of, it's showing that it is a square pyramid. So each side length is 7 feet, and the height of the pyramid is 6 feet. You would write the formula down. V equals 1/3 big B times H. They're saying since the base is a square, big B is 7 times 7, which we know is side squared. So 7 times 7 times 6, and then they do 1/3 of that. On all of these, you would be allowed to use a calculator, would be my best guess. The volume of that pyramid, 98 feet cubed. So volume is always cube units because we're taking feet times feet times feet, feet cubed. Madison.
Why does that look like it's 7.6?
I'm sorry?
That kind of looks like it's 7.6.
Yeah, it does.
It does, but it's 7 times 7. It looks like 7.6, doesn't it? Yeah, it's 7 times 7 times 6. She's talking about this right here. That is 7 times 7 times 6.
Why is the dot at the bottom?
Well, I don't know. I didn't make it. That's the way it is. I think it's an oops. I think it's an oops on their part. All right. Any other questions on volume of a pyramid? So the key is it's 1/3 as big as that prism of the same dimensions. Cone. A cone is going to be just like the cylinder, isn't it? Same ratio. A cone is 1/3 the volume of a cylinder. Cone is 1/3 the volume of the cylinder. Well, the good news yesterday about the cylinder is you always know what the base is. It's always a circle. So that's where you get the pi r squared. You don't even have to deal with the big B because the big B is it can be a varying amount of things. So we're talking for this cone 1/3 pi r squared h. So the volume is 1/3 pi r squared h. The area of the base times the height and then 1/3 of it. We're looking at this cone. It has a radius of 4.3 meters and a height of 11. They're plugging all this in, 1/3 pi 4.3 squared times 11. They're going to use 3.14 for pi. And they looks like they rounded to the nearest tenth because that's what the directions say. So on all these, make sure you follow what the directions say. I know yesterday some of them said round to the nearest hundredth on some of the IXLs that when I looked at them that you're going to be doing. So please just follow the directions so you get those right. Questions about a cone. I feel like that one's a little bit easier just because you know that it's always pi r squared and you don't have to worry about what shape the base is. Questions about that? All right, and last but not least, we have the sphere, the volume of a sphere. This one, again, you will be given this formula, but a sphere is, the only dimension you're going to be given would be the radius. Well, maybe they gave you the diameter. How do you find the radius if they give you the diameter? Half of that, right. So just make sure you're using the right measurement. But it is 4/3 pi r cubed. 4/3 pi r cubed. And remember, you'll be allowed to use a calculator for that fractional measure. This example, the radius is 5.
Oh, wait, is it pi r cubed?
Pi r cubed, yes, pi r cubed. So all you're going to be doing is replacing the radius with 5. Remember, exponents have to happen first, so make sure you do that. Make sure you take 5 cubed, then take it times pi, 3.14, and then take it times 4/3. So again, on all these, basically it is your skill of plugging numbers into a formula and carrying out order of operations. That honestly is what this amounts to. They're giving you the formulas, plugging in the numbers in the right spots and completing the calculation. So let's look at a couple of examples. I would like for you to go ahead, please, and have your Desmos calculator up on your screen because I'm going to let you guys practice the calculations, and I'll do it back here as well. And then we'll kind of compare that you're doing the right things at the right time. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, and if you want to, you don't really even have to draw the picture. Like on number 1, you could put sphere, and because they might give you the problems actually in words too, and it's good to know. So that's sphere, and it would give you the radius equals 4 feet. So on all of these it says find the volume and round to the nearest tenth if necessary. So I would definitely begin by writing the formula. So volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. 4/3 pi r cubed. And what are we going to plug in where? You're going to plug in 4, and there's really only one spot, right? 4/3 pi and 4 cubed. It doesn't say to use 3.14, but I think we're going to. Let's go ahead and use 3.14, so I probably should have done that, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's put 3.14. Obviously, if it tells you to use the pi button, or if it doesn't, yeah, if it doesn't tell you, or if it tells you to use the pi button, go ahead and do that. And I have to mention something else here in a minute. So right now, I want everybody in here to go ahead and calculate that. I'll do the same thing, and then we'll come back and check. All right, Maddie, what'd you get? 267.9 feet cubed. How many people got that? That is correct. I need to mention something too that I just thought of looking at some iLearn questions, and they've started also doing this. A problem like this, they would say find the volume leave pi in your answer. Leave pi in your answer. So what that means is this. Instead of 3.14, you would do 4/3 pi and 4 cubed. You would really just multiply 4 cubed, take it times 4/3, and then leave pi there. Don't plug anything in for pi at all. So go ahead and try that. Go ahead and do that calculation. We'll see what happens. All right, how'd we do with that? The number look a little messy? Okay, on my calculator, I left it as a fraction. First of all, it came out to 85 1/3. Did anybody get that? Okay, so you could do that and say pi, but generally when you use pi, you leave it as an improper fraction. So I'm not sure if you can change it to that on that calculator or not, but it would be 256 pi over 3. So you could do this. I'm thinking that if it was a multiple choice, it's going to look like this, just so you know what it looks like. This is also correct. It's just that the 256 pi over 3 is a more correct answer. All right, questions about that? All right, let's look at number 2. So this is a pyramid. What kind of pyramid is it?
Triangular.
It is not a triangular pyramid.
Square.
Square pyramid. It's a square pyramid. So if we wrote the formula down, so we're going to say volume equals 1/3 big B times H. But since it's a square, we'd say 1/3 side squared times H. Question? Okay, you got the answer already? Okay, hold up a minute. We're going to let everybody calculate. So what are we going to plug in where? What are we going to plug in for S? Taylor? 7.5. So that's 7.5 squared. What are we going to plug in for H? 16. All right, we're going to take a break here. You guys calculate. All right, Jordan, what'd you get? What'd you get? 40. Did anybody get 40? Caitlin, what did you get? 300. Did anybody get 300? Yeah, that's what I got. 300 meters cubed. 300 meters cubed. So you would take 7.5 times 7.5 times 16, and then I took it divided by 3. That's what 1/3 does, divided by 3. All right, let's do one more, and then we're going to do a Quizlet. So here we are, the cone. We're at the cone. We said the good news about the cone is that you know every time what it is. So the formula is 1/3 pi r squared h. The dimensions they gave us, there's a 4.5 inches and there's a 4 inches. So we'll see if you know what to plug in where. So I'm going to go 1/3, 3.14. What am I going to put in for r? What am I going to put in for r? Abby Moore? It would be 2. They gave us the diameter. What are we going to put in for the height? Somebody that has an answer. We're going to put in for the height. Rachel, 4.5. Okay, 4.5. We can barely see that. 4.5. All right, let's take a break. We'll do the calculations and we'll come back. Dylan, what'd you get? 18.8. And then we would label it how, Dylan? Inches cubed. Okay, yeah, it came out to 18.84, but it says round to the nearest tenth. So 18.8 inches cubed. All right, any questions about that? Okay.